Hello, hello, and good evening. Good Chodesh, Rosh Chodesh Kislev tonight. A wonderful opportunity to start a new Torah in the Likutey Moharan. This is Torah Kofches 28, which is also um, um, based on the uh, the debate, if you can call it that, between the sages of Athens and Rabbi Yeshua ben Hanania. So this Torah is Lashon Rabbeinu Zichron Livracha. We're starting it. Lat Hashem Gewaldig B'Schus. Nakasha myself with the learning, all the tzaddikim, all the true tzaddikim in our generation, and all the true tzaddikim of all the generations, especially to Rabbeinu HaKadosh, Rabbi Nachman ben Fege. Maybe we will, before HaKadosh Baruch Hu, will be able to learn this Torah and serve HaKadosh Baruch Hu with it and come closer to where we need to be, B'ezrat Hashem. So it says in the Gemara in Maseches Bracha, Maseches Bechoros, I'm sorry, there was a whole discussion that starts, funnily enough, with a discussion of what is the gestation periods for different animals. And the last one that leads into this particular debate of Saba de Beatuna and Rabbi ben Hanania was how long is the gestation period of a snake. The Maharsha and the Vilna Gaon say that this exchange between the sages of Athens and Rabbi ben Hanania is basically all the debate between Esav and Yaakov, because the Jews and the Gentiles. And each one of these Torahs gives you a different kind of istaklos, kind of point of view on that particular, what this debate actually means, l'maisa, in Avodas Hashem. What's the difference between Israel Amim and what it is that, ultimately we're not that interested about what the Gentiles have. That's not our business. What is more important is what is the influence of that Gentile point of view on us as Jews, since we live in this world, and how to deal with that. So they said to him, Balinan Besa Ba'avira de Alma, build us a house in the atmosphere, in the air, in other words, a floating house. Omar Shem, so he said one of the holy names that change nature. Konvatola ben Shmael Aaron. And there was a house hanging between heaven and earth. I'm sorry, it's not a house. He himself floated up and stood between heaven and earth. Omelahu, he told them, Apikoli livne vetina mehosan. He said to them, now you want me to build a house? No problem. Bring me bricks and mortar from where you are, bring it to me. So so they said, I mean, how is it possible for anybody to get up there? And he answered, is it possible that there's anyone, the same way it's impossible to, to bring bricks and mortar, to build a house between heaven and earth? It's impossible to build a house between heaven and earth. We already, spoke about the fact that when you look at it as just on the surface as stories, the debate makes absolutely no sense. It seems to be totally opaque, makes no sense, times maybe even childish. But what's buried in it, what's hidden in it, is tremendous secrets. And the Rebbe dives into the basic underpinning upon which this, what this particular exchange teaches us. Hamisnagdim, hamevazim, v'mechafim yirei Hashem. Those that are misnagdim, and they shame and curse out and embarrass all those who are true Yerushalayim. This is because the reason why they do it is because, as we're talking about people who learn Torah, we're not talking about, people who don't have any idea. It's because in Mechmat Shemekablim Torah, Talmidei Chachamim, Shin Daled Yodon, there's Jewish demons. They are, the Torah that they receive they receive it from sages, Talmidei Chachamim, which when you look, they look the part. They learn Torah fluently. They know a lot. They dig in a lot. But in truth, they're actually Jewish demons. He says, because Talmidei Chachamim Shindalad Yudon is Jewish demons. Why are they called that? Hamekablim Teirasom from the Shindalad, from the demons. What does it mean? Sheyesh lahem Torah nefulo. They have a fallen Torah. Me'alfim nefulim. That is the fallen Alephs, letter Aleph. Ba'alfin elu, and about these letters Aleph, Ksiv b'shloimoi v'daber shloshes alofim moshel v'yishiroi chamisho v'elef. That Shlomo HaMelech spoke, when he said any kind of pasuk, whether it's Shirim or it's Koheles or Mishlei, he says that on every pasuk, he would actually insert 3,000 mishalim, parallels, and each parable had 1,005 reasons. Which means that the Torah of Shlomo HaMelech has come from an extremely exalted and supernal source, which is called Alfin, the Alephs, the letter Aleph. The letter Aleph is obviously the first letter of the Aleph base. And as such, it represents HaKadosh Baruch Hu. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is called the Alufoi Shel Olam, the champion of the world, Shon Aleph. And the letter Aleph also represents the very beginning of where things can actually go both ways. It's the beginning of the din. It's the beginning of where things are no longer undifferentiated. The beginning of differentiation actually starts l'maisa with the letter base. The letter base represents two. I mean, the letter Aleph is one. In one, there is no differentiation yet. Everything is one. But the very fact that there is already one that comes before the base is already, this is where you have a choice this way or that way. The letter Aleph, even though it is still undifferentiated, this is where the choice starts. Which means when there is judgment, it says it in second in Kavonas HaMikveh of the Baal Shem Tov, in the Siddur of the Baal HaTanya, it talks about how when a person wants to sweeten a judgment, it has to go all the way up to the very beginning. Because at the very beginning, before a judgment has been decided upon, the very reason there is to judge unfavorably, strictly, there's also can be the reason to judge favorably. And brings the mashal, the very famous mashal, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu brought the deluge, the mabul, because Yetzer Machshavos Leva Odom Rak Kol Hayom. The Yetzer Hara, the thought in the person's heart, is just evil all day long. That's a reason to finish off the world. You don't need the world like that. After the mabul, when HaKadosh Baruch Hu has sworn never to bring mabul to the world again, because what's the reason he's not going to bring a mabul again? He says, because the evil inclination of a person is bad from his inception, from his youth. The same reason that there was to bring the mabul, to bring the deluge, is the same reason to never bring it again. Which means there is the initial reason. And at that particular point, you can go this way or you can go that way. Depends how you look at it. You can say, man just thinks badly all day long. On the other hand, you can say, yeah, he is already, built in with an evil inclination, from the get-go. So you should judge them favorably. The Aleph is the highest beginning projection of the Kodesh Baruch Hu, and this is the source where Shlomo HaMelech got his Torah. And so he goes from a very, very high Bechina that is called Alfin. Ki Shlomo Zochel and Bigdusha is Shlomo HaMelech was zoicher to these things, in holiness. There's Jewish demons. They're also getting from the Alfin, but there's a detour. The Torah does not come straight from the Alfin to them, but it goes through the clippers, through the husks, and that by them it's called Alfin Nefulin. It's not the Alfin the way that they are, up above, representing the Kedusha, the highest Kedusha possible. But this is Alfin that fell into the Klippos. It's Bechlal, a principle that we learned 3 times, that all the Midas Elyonis, where it be love or might or grandeur or victory or confession or Yesod and Malchus, all these things have, their origin in Kedusha. So love b'Kedusha is the love between a person and Kadosh Baruch Hu. All the different loves that are in this world are trickle down versions of that primordial love that there is between a Kadosh Baruch Hu and his children. His children being the Shekhinah. This is the base for the relationship between husband and wife, and so forth and so on. But what happens when the love falls down? The love falls down, when the chesed falls down, then it becomes, illicit expenditure of the person's most precious resource, which is what you call brain drops, and dropping them in places where they do not belong. The same thing is a midas gvura, the might, that in Kedusha, it's actually meant first and foremost for a person to hold himself back, to control himself. But when it falls down, it's called gvuros nefulos. He uses it to impose his will upon others. And so on and so on, so on and so forth. So they receive their Torah also, but they receive the Torah through the Klipos. That's why the Alfin, the source of all the Torah, is called Alfin Nefulan, fallen olives. And because of that, Bishvil Zeh, Kol Diburam, all their speech, whenever it is that they give you a speech, some kind of a shir, so it's always derech moshel umilitza v'tamim nifloim. It's always through mishalim, proverbs, and beautiful talk and marvelous reasonings. Kisharsha, because their sharsha is from these olives. As we said, that these olives are the source of the proverbs and the mishalim and the melitza, and the beautiful speech. And these Talmidei Chachamim that Rabbeinu calls them, actually, Rabbeinu just is quoting the Zohar. These Talmidei Chachamim, Nema Aleim, on them it is said, Ameat Mikem Hal Ois Anoshim, Kisalu Gam Elokim. This is basically what someone said to the people of David the Melech. Is it Hameat Mikim? Is it not enough for you to tire people out? That you tire also Kiviyachal HaKadosh Baruch Hu? Is it not enough that you are making the prophets tired, to admonish you, that you want to work out HaKadosh Baruch Hu, also make him tired, as it were, to help you to win over the enemies? This is the original kavanah of this pasuk. But in this hides a deeper meaning. Ki these Talmidei Chachamim miyagim anoshim sheboim lishmoa drushim v'torosim. They tire out the people that come to hear their drushes and their Torah. V'anoshim choshvim sheyavo le'ezeh to'eles al yadam. Why do people go to these shores? Because they think that, maybe I'll get a benefit from this. I'll be able to serve HaKadosh Baruch Hu with it. Hainu sheyavo l'daas Hashem ech la'avoid. They'll come to know HaKadosh Baruch Hu on how to serve HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Vehem anoshim, but these people that come to these speeches, they don't get anything, any benefit out of these speeches. Because the Torah of these Talmidei Chachamim doesn't have the potency to guide people in a good way. Because from good doesn't come out of bad. So it means people come to you and you're basically exhausting them. They come because they think that they're going to get something good out of you. They're not getting anything. But this has a very toxic effect. Not only, you're also kiviyachol tiring out of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. What does it mean? As if you're tiring out HaKadosh Baruch Hu, from helping and aiding those who serve him. In other words, because the Torah that they say and they preach doesn't bring the people that listen to it any closer to Avodas Hashem. What they're taking out of it is actually apikorsis. Like HaKadosh Baruch Hu cannot help me. I want to serve HaKadosh Baruch Hu. I want to get closer to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. What am I getting out of this? As if the HaKadosh Baruch Hu cannot help me. I come, I'm listening, I want to get closer. I hear Torah, which I cannot do absolutely nothing with. So it makes me very dispirited. It makes me feel in my own hearts of hearts that HaKadosh Baruch Hu cannot help me get kiviyachol chas v'chalila to get me close to him. So it comes out that these people that receive Torah from these Talmidei Chachamim that are Jewish demons, they fall in big heresies because of the results of coming and hearing Torah from these Talmidei Chachamim, which are actually Jewish demons. They fall into big heresies. Because Baruch Hu doesn't see and he doesn't understand what people do, because they see HaKadosh Baruch Hu cannot help them with their avodah kiviyachol. And what that does is they do not honor those who truly fear HaKadosh Baruch Hu. and they shame and embarrass them. That's why the busha is called idol worshiping. In idol worshiping in the book of Isaiah, in other words, they became monks to Avodah Zarah. Avodah Zarah that is actually shaming those who are serving it. So, what's hinted in this pasuk that busha is called avodah zarah. That's the real busha. Ki busha v'acherev, because the shame and the embarrassment is being made up of kfiros, of heresies. This is b'china avodah zarah. As you remember from learning Torah Lamed Ches, that busha is actually in kedusha, it's the highest expression of closeness to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Here, Rabbeinu shows us that busha, that shame, is actually the very core, very essence of idolatry. So what gives? The answer is that there, besides the fact that we learn Torah Chafalef, that the main tikkun is covered and the main kilkul is busha, but it comes, a person suffers through busha in order to connect himself to Kedusha, because if a person is embarrassed for having done something that he shouldn't have done, or having not done something that he should have done, that means that he has a connection with that mila. Why did I waste my time, surfing the internet, not learning, or not davening, or not doing whatever it is that I needed to do? That busha signifies that I have shaychus with learning and davening. I don't feel busha by the fact that I can't fly, because I have no shaychus with flying. Flying has nothing to do with me. So anything that I don't have shaychus with is not a source of busha. You have two sides of the same coin. One side is busha, and one side is boldness. Two opposites. The thing that determines whether this is the ultimate connection to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, or the ultimate distance from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, depends who you are being bold to and who you are ashamed of. And that's not just if I'm ashamed of people. When a person goes to daven in the Medrash, this is going by the Omer, and the people there want him, or he thinks that they want him to pray really, really quickly. And he feels very pressured. So he davens quickly because he doesn't want people to chide him, and to say, you just come on, get going. So he's actually embarrassed of the people. but at the same time, he's being bold and impertinent to Kodesh Baruch Hu. If a person is standing by the Omid and he's davening slow, I'm not saying that he is indulging himself in whatever it is the kind of avoided that people cannot stand. Say Rebbe Kiva, when he davened, Betzibur, he would daven like everybody else, but when he davened alone, you leave him in one corner. When you come back, he's in another corner. In other words, the time to put all your everything into Avodas Hashem is more in private. But nevertheless, when you daven with him, it's just say the words. Daven in a way that is not going to put people to sleep, but nevertheless, allow yourself and other people to actually daven. So some people will become very upset because they expect, finish it up and let us go, So the fact that you are actually slowing down, you are being bold and impertinent towards these people. But this is because you're being bashful before HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So the question is, which way the bashfulness is directed? But it's not only people. Every person has his own, I would say, point of where he begins, where his story leaves him off. It could be fear of rejection. It could be a lot of different things. If a person gives in and uses those minuses, those complexes, those as an excuse, to keep off the wagon, he's being bashful when he's directing, towards, from his own bad tendencies, and he's being impertinent to Kodesh Baruch Hu. It's a very, very dakas dika Indian, because in most cases, if you find yourself, you're 100% giving in to your, character defects, whatever you want to call it. So yes, you're being meek before your own weaknesses and bold and impertinent towards Kadosh Baruch Hu. But many times the only thing that you can do is maybe 1 or 2% from the 100% that you think that you need to do. You can overcome your tendencies only maybe 1%, maybe 0.5%. It seems to you that like you're not doing anything, but it's not true. This is why it's impertinent. It is incumbent for each and every one of us to make Hisbedidus. Hisbedidus is the only way that you can contact Kodesh Baruch Hu, put things on the table, and judge, am I doing what I can? Am I not doing what I can? Ask Kodesh Baruch Hu to lead me in a way that gets me to where I need to be. So there could be two people. One of them is 50% there. One of them is 1% there. But the 150% there is actually because the story allows him to be that Gewaldig starting point. He's not really working on it. But the 1% is somebody starting from zero. And he's a big Ovid Hashem. Bezat Hashem, we need to stop now. Bezat Hashem, we will have continue this next week. Yimit Hashem tomorrow, rest of this medrash, we will be learning Yimit Hashem at 8 o'clock. I wish you all good Chodesh and good health and everything good, B'ezrat Hashem.